As of now, the expanded BRICS group has a combined population of about 3.5 billion people, making up 45% of the world's population. Their economies are worth over $28.5 trillion, around 28% of the global economy. With new members Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, BRICS countries produce about 44% of the world's crude oil. The bloc now represents nearly 36% of global GDP, surpassing the G7's 30%. The significant economic, demographic, and resource advantages of the BRICS alliance pose a challenge to the G7's long-standing dominance. As BRICS countries continue to grow and integrate, they can exert more influence over global economic and political systems, potentially reshaping the international order and reducing the G7's relative power and influence. Here are 3 ways how BRICS can challenge the G7 in the coming future. Number 1. Economic power shift. The combined economic power of the BRICS countries has the potential to challenge the dominance of the G7. With large populations and rapidly growing economies, BRICS can shift the balance of global economic influence. By leveraging their economic strengths, BRICS countries can assert more influence in international trade and finance, challenging the traditional economic hegemony of the G7. As we can see from this chart published by Statista, the BRICS has taken over the G7 in global GDP at purchasing power parity, also known as PPP. For those of us who do not know what PPP means, here is the simplest way of explaining it. Imagine you have a toy store in your town and your friend has a toy store in another town. In your town, you can buy a toy car for $1. In your friend's town, the same toy car costs $2. Now let's say you both have $1 each. You can buy the toy car, but your friend can't because it's more expensive in their town. Purchasing power parity, PPP, is like a magic rule that says, if you have the same amount of money, you should be able to buy the same things no matter where you are. So if PPP was working perfectly, the toy car would cost the same in both towns, or you would have enough money to buy the toy car in your friend's town too. This way, the concept of PPP is simplified to the idea that money should have the same buying power everywhere. Number 2. Alternative financial institutions. The establishment of the NDB and other BRICS-led financial initiatives provides alternatives to traditional Western financial institutions. These alternatives reduce the G7's control over global finance by offering more choices for countries seeking development assistance, by providing funding without the stringent conditions often imposed by the IMF and World Bank, which the NDB and similar institutions empower developing nations to pursue their development goals more independently. The New Development Bank, NDB, is an example of such an institution, providing funding for infrastructure and sustainable development projects in BRICS and other developing countries with fewer political conditions than the IMF or World Bank. These alternative financial institutions give BRICS countries more control over their economic development, reduce their dependence on Western financial systems, and enhance their ability to grow and develop independently. The NDB helps member countries build more resilient financial systems, making them better able to withstand external economic shocks or punitive financial measures. In Russia's case, these mechanisms offer different ways for international transactions, access to money for development projects, and a way to partly get around Western financial penalties. Even though they can't completely undo the impact of being cut off from Western financial systems, the NDB and similar ideas can help soften the effects and give Russia other financial options. However, it's important to know that the NDB can't fully go against Western financial power, because the current global financial system is mostly controlled by Western institutions. Making a truly different global financial system would probably take time and face big challenges. Number 3. Energy cooperation. Energy cooperation among BRICS countries is really diverse and covers a lot of different areas. These countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have a bunch of energy resources like oil, natural gas, and renewable energy sources like solar and wind. They work together on research to make energy technologies better and use less energy. They also focus on renewable energy, like solar power and biofuels, to help the environment. BRICS nations trade a lot of energy too. For example, Russia sells oil and gas to China and India. They also collaborate on nuclear power and talk regularly about energy policies. BRICS invests in building pipelines, power grids, and other infrastructure to make energy more reliable and accessible. They also run programs to use energy more efficiently and cut down on pollution. Brazil, China, and India are big on hydropower projects, using their knowledge to help each other out. They support projects for clean and affordable energy through banks like the New Development Bank, NDB, and work on new technologies for energy storage and smart grids. Brazil leads in bioenergy like biofuels. They share information about energy, team up on projects, and train people in the energy sector. BRICS countries are also thinking about setting up an emergency fund for energy crises and are exploring ways to capture and store carbon to fight climate change. By working together, they want to have more influence in global energy markets and make sure their energy projects are good for the environment and sustainable for the future. However, fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas are still the main sources for energy in BRICS countries. They make up most of the energy they use. For example, China and India are big coal producers. In 2020, China made half of all the coal in the world, and India made 10%. Russia is a major producer of oil and natural gas, making 12% of the world's oil and 16% of the world's natural gas. Even though they use a lot of fossil fuels, BRICS countries are starting to use more renewable energy like solar and wind power. In 2020, renewable energy made up 37% of their energy, up from 19% in 2010. Nuclear power is also growing in BRICS countries, doubling between 2010 and 2020. Brazil is really good with bioenergy from things like plants, making a big chunk of the world's supply. Altogether, BRICS countries have a lot of fossil fuels stored up. They have 40% of the world's coal, 8% of the world's crude oil, and 25% of the world's natural gas. With new members like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Iran, BRICS would control about 42% of the world's oil. They have lots of renewable resources too, like solar power in South Africa, Brazil, and India, wind power in Russia and China, and biomass in Brazil. Energy cooperation among BRICS countries enhances their energy security and diversifies their energy sources. As a result, the G7 countries may have less influence over global energy dynamics. BRICS countries can also make their own energy networks and places to sell energy, so they're not as stuck depending on Western money and rules. By collaborating on energy, BRICS countries can increase their political influence on the world stage, potentially altering the dynamics of global energy. These things show how energy is really important in how the world works between G7 and BRICS countries, and how BRICS countries might challenge how the G7 has controlled energy for a long time. From the 3 points we mentioned above, we can see that the BRICS alliance is poised to become a formidable challenger to the G7 in the global economic landscape. Through their collective efforts in expanding membership, developing alternative financial systems, and fostering economic cooperation, BRICS nations are laying the groundwork for a more multipolar world order. As these emerging economies continue to grow and strengthen their ties, the international community will likely witness a significant shift in global economic power dynamics. The coming years will undoubtedly be crucial in determining whether BRICS can successfully challenge the long-standing dominance of the G7 and reshape the future of international economic relations. What do you think? Can the BRICS ever overtake the West in global domination? If yes, how long do you think that would be? Please leave it in the comment below. Thank you, and as always, stay blessed.